I think I'm entitled.
You want answers!
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work. When you go to church. When you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
What's that? Sirens. There could be some lunatic in the neighborhood. We should get out of here. Welcome to the show. Enjoy it.
How does someone go from being one of the most beloved figures in entertainment to a symbol of controversy and suspicion? That's the story of Ellen DeGeneres, the once cherished queen of kindness whose name became synonymous with laughter, inclusivity, and a bright, uplifting presence on daytime television. Ellen was everywhere. Her big smile and quick wit became a staple of households across the globe. She danced with audience members, gave away cars, and was known for the motto, "Be kind to one another." But what if the smiling face was just a mask? Ellen's polished reputation began to crack. It wasn't a single moment, but a slow unraveling of events, allegations, and strange connections that caused the public to question whether Ellen DeGeneres was ever truly the person she appeared to be. How did the adored talk show host turn into someone whose very name now brings whispers of toxicity, conspiracy, and Hollywood secrets? Today, we'll uncover the darker chapters of Ellen DeGeneres' life and career, pieces of her stories that don't fit with the shiny, feel-good narrative she built over decades. We'll start with her relationship with actress Anne Heck, a romance that rocked Hollywood and ended in a breakup many believe had deeper consequences than we'll ever fully understand. Decades later, Anne's tragic and bizarre death reignited rumors and theories that connect back to Ellen, leaving many to wonder if there's more to the story than meets the eye. Then there's the infamous workplace scandal, a moment when Ellen's on-screen kindness was overshadowed by claims of cruelty and a toxic environment behind the scenes. Former employees came forward with accusations of mistreatment, intimidation, and hypocrisy, painting Ellen as someone very different from the bubbly host she played on TV. Was her "be kind" message genuine, or was it carefully constructed to maintain a facade? We'll also dive into some of the more mysterious and shadowy connections in Ellen's Hollywood career. One of the strangest links? Sean Diddy Combs, the Diddler. Rumors and speculation about their association have left people questioning the hidden dynamics of Hollywood's elite. Could Ellen's rise and fall be tied to something deeper within the entertainment industry? And finally, we'll look at Ellen's decision to escape the spotlight and move to Europe. On the surface, it seems like a retired celebrity's attempt to reinvent herself or find peace away from the media storm. But could there be another reason? Did the controversies surrounding her career finally become too much to bear? Or is there something else she's running from? Ellen DeGeneres' story is no longer just about a celebrity who lost favor with the public. It's about how fame, power, and carefully constructed personas can hide a much darker truth. This is the tale of Ellen's dark side, a side filled with unanswered questions, broken relationships, workplace betrayals, and connections that leave us wondering just how deep the story goes. So, how did America's sweetheart fall so far? To answer that, we'll have to look beyond the laughter and the dancing and into the shadows of Ellen DeGeneres' career, where the truth might be stranger and darker than fiction. This is Hollywood Hell.
I'm happy. You seem like a great crowd. Of course, you never know. Never can tell. You ever do that? You ever try to judge a situation? You're totally wrong, you find out later?
Ellen's journey began in stand-up comedy during the 1980s. At a time when men dominated the comedy clubs across the United States, Ellen stood out with her observational humor and clean, relatable jokes.
I thought, I wonder if he spends all of his money on his car to try to impress people, you know, and just really lives in some little shack. So I followed him home. And, anyway, beautiful neighborhood, incredible. I barely got through the gates before the security guard was shutting them.
Unlike other comics who thrived on edginess, Ellen's humor felt warm, approachable, and lighthearted, earning her a growing fan base. Her big break came in 1986 when she performed on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. At the time, Carson's approval was like receiving a golden ticket in the entertainment world. He famously invited Ellen to sit on the couch, a rare honor that signified she had made it.
That's very clever and very fresh, and
Well, that's wonderful hearing that from you.
will you come back with us soon?
I would love to.
Okay, you got an open invitation.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Ellen.
This appearance launched her career, earning her national recognition and opening doors to opportunities in television and film. In the 1990s, Ellen took a huge step forward by starring in her own sitcom. The show premiered in 1994 and was a hit, with its charming humor and Ellen's natural likability at the center. But the defining moment came in 1997 during the show's 4th season. Ellen DeGeneres made history when both she and her on-screen character, Ellen Morgan, came out as gay.
I'm afraid to tell people. I mean, Susan, I'm gay.
At the time, coming out publicly as gay was an enormous risk, especially for someone in the entertainment industry. Ellen was the first major Hollywood star to do so, and the announcement shook the nation. Some applauded her bravery, seeing her as a trailblazer for the LGBTQ+ representation, while others criticized or shunned her, arguing that such openness had no place on television. The backlash was intense. Advertisers pulled out from representing her, and the conservative media attacked her relentlessly. Ellen's career seemed to stall. In 1998, just 1 year after coming out, Ellen's sitcom was canceled. Throughout this time, she faced years of rejection, struggling to find work. But in the long run, her decision to come out would make her an icon in the LGBTQ+ community. Ellen DeGeneres became a symbol of resilience, someone who had risked everything to live her truth. In 1997, Ellen DeGeneres was everywhere. Her announcement that she was gay on her sitcom was groundbreaking, but it also came with enormous backlash. At the same time, she began dating Anne Heck, a talented actress who was quickly making a name for herself in Hollywood. Ellen and Anne became one of the first celebrity same-sex couples to live their lives publicly. A bold move in an era where such openness was rare, even in Hollywood. Their appearances together were often met with a mix of admiration and controversy. When they attended the 1997 premiere of Volcano hand in hand, their relationship dominated headlines. For some, they symbolized progress and hope for LGBTQ+ visibility. For others, they became a lightning rod for criticism and ridicule. Both women faced professional consequences. Ellen's sitcom was canceled a year later, and Anne, despite her rising star status, suddenly found her career stalling before it truly started. Anne's decision to support Ellen during this time was courageous, but it came at a cost. The media targeted her relentlessly, questioning her sexuality and labeling her as unstable. Hollywood executives, afraid of the public backlash, began to distance themselves from her. This was particularly evident when Anne was cast opposite Harrison Ford in 6 Days, 7 Nights. At the time, some executives questioned whether audiences would believe Anne as a romantic lead given her relationship with Ellen. For Ellen, the relationship was also pivotal. She later described Anne as the person who helped her embrace her true self and navigate the challenges of coming out publicly. However, cracks began to show as the pressure on their relationship mounted. The couple's high-profile romance ended in 2000, and both women moved on. Ellen eventually finding lasting love with actress Portia de Rossi, and Anne struggling to rebuild her life and career. After her split from Ellen, Anne Heck's life took a downward turn that played out in both the media and her personal struggles. Not long after their breakup, Anne was involved in a bizarre incident that fueled speculation about her mental health. In 2000, shortly after the relationship ended, Anne was found wandering through a rural area outside Fresno, California. She entered a stranger's home, made strange claims about being from another planet, and later explained that she'd been under severe emotional distress. While Anne later wrote in her memoir, Call Me Crazy, that she had endured years of childhood trauma, the public narrative surrounding her mental health overshadowed her career. During interviews, Anne spoke candidly about the backlash she faced after her relationship with Ellen. She revealed that Hollywood had effectively blacklisted her, viewing her as being a liability for being part of such a high-profile same-sex romance at a time when the industry wasn't ready to embrace LGBTQ+ relationships publicly. Anne's downward spiral, both professionally and personally, raised questions. Was the scrutiny she faced simply a result of the times, or was there more to the story? While Ellen's career eventually rebounded, Anne's life remained tumultuous for decades. She continued to act in independent films and television, but never reclaimed the mainstream success she had enjoyed before her relationship with Ellen. Many who followed Anne's journey couldn't help but wonder if her split from Ellen had marked the beginning of her struggles, setting off a chain of events that would lead to tragedy years later. By the early 2000s, Ellen had managed to stage a remarkable comeback. She re-emerged with a fresh, family-friendly persona that was equal parts charming and wholesome. Her new talk show, The Ellen DeGeneres Show, launched in 2003 and quickly became a cultural phenomenon. The format was simple. Ellen danced through the audience, cracked jokes, hosted celebrity interviews, and gave away prizes. She created a space that felt like a break from the negativity of the world, a place where kindness, laughter, and positivity reigned supreme. She became a daily fixture in millions of homes, radiating warmth and joy. Her catchphrase, "Be kind to one another," became her signature line, something she said at the end of every show. Over time, this simple message became synonymous with her brand. Ellen DeGeneres wasn't just a talk show host. She was the face of kindness itself. Her relatability played a huge role in her success. Ellen didn't rely on shocking humor or Hollywood glamour to connect with her audience. Instead, she presented herself as an everywoman, a little awkward, down to earth, and always ready to laugh at herself. Unlike other hosts who leaned heavily into polished, scripted conversations, Ellen's interviews felt casual, like two friends chatting over coffee. She pulled pranks on guests, invited audience members on stage, and would even have social media people like the Damn Daniel guys to come on the show. Over the years, Ellen built a powerful empire around her brand of positivity. Her show became famous for its giveaways and acts of generosity. By the late 2000s and 2010s, Ellen was untouchable. She'd hosted the Academy Awards, Grammy Awards, and the Emmy Awards, all without showing her true colors. She wasn't just loved by adults. She was also the beloved voice of Dory in Finding Nemo.
Will you quit it? What? I'm trying to swim here. What, the ocean isn't big enough for you or something like that? Huh? You got a problem, buddy? Huh? Do you?
In 2016, she earned a Presidential Medal of Freedom and was praised not just as an entertainer, but as a role model. But behind the be kind persona, cracks were beginning to form. As time went on, whispers started to emerge. Rumors that Ellen's off-screen behavior didn't align with the cheerful and lovable image she portrayed on television. This is where the story takes a darker turn. For years, Ellen's reputation seemed spotless. Her talk show empire a testament to her success and kindness. But the truth, as many would later claim, was far more complicated. Employees who worked on the Ellen DeGeneres Show began to share stories that painted a very different picture of their boss. Behind the scenes, Ellen was allegedly demanding, unkind, and difficult to work for. Former staff members described a toxic workplace culture where favoritism, intimidation, and fear were the norm. How would someone who preached kindness so adamantly allow such an environment to thrive? Beyond the workplace allegations, Ellen's personal relationships and connections came under scrutiny as well. Her breakup with Anne Heck, for example, left lingering questions that only intensified after Anne's tragic and mysterious death decades later. Were there parts of Ellen's life and career that the public didn't know about? And then there's the Hollywood web. Strange connections and relationships with other powerful figures in the entertainment industry. Conspiracy theories began to spread online, with some claiming that Ellen's success and eventual downfall were tied to Sean Diddy Combs. While much of this remains speculation, the mere existence of these rumors highlights how far Ellen's public image had fallen. So, was Ellen DeGeneres ever really the queen of kindness the world believed her to be? Or was the smiling, dancing persona just a carefully crafted illusion designed to keep the public from seeing the truth? To understand the full story, we have to look at the events that began to shatter Ellen's carefully constructed facade.
Breaking news at 6. Actress Anne Heche seriously injured after crashing her car.
Fast forward to August 2022, when Anne Heck's name once again dominated headlines. This time under tragic and mysterious circumstances. Anne was involved in a shocking car accident in Los Angeles that left her critically injured and ultimately brain dead. Reports indicated that she had driven her car into a residential home at high speed, causing a fiery crash that took over an hour for firefighters to extinguish. The details surrounding Anne's accident immediately raised questions. Toxicology reports later revealed the presence of drugs in her system, but the exact circumstances of the crash remained unclear. Why was Anne driving so erratically? Why did the accident seem so extreme? And more importantly, was there something more going on beneath the surface? As news of Anne's death spread, conspiracy theories began to emerge online, and many pointed back to Ellen DeGeneres. Some speculated that Anne had been in possession of damaging information about powerful figures in Hollywood, including Ellen. These theories suggested that her tragic accident might not have been an accident at all. Fueling these theories was Anne's outspokenness during her final years. She had discussed her struggles, her trauma, and the way Hollywood had treated her after coming out. Some conspiracy theorists latched onto the idea that Anne was silenced before she could expose deeper truths, whether about her relationship with Ellen, the entertainment industry, or something else entirely. One of the creepiest aspects of the Anne Heck conspiracy is the fact that she raised up on the gurney when being placed into the ambulance. This caused many people to believe Anne survived the crash, but was taken out after they realized she was still alive. While these are all speculations, it's hard to ignore the parallels between the timing of her death and the downfall of Ellen. To add another layer of conspiracy, Ellen's response to Anne's death struck many as cold and dismissive. When asked about Anne's passing, Ellen simply said, "This is a sad day. I'm sending her family and friends all my love." The statement, while polite, lacked the emotion or depth one might expect from someone who had once shared such an important and public relationship with Anne. The tragic story of Anne Heck forces us to look closely at Ellen DeGeneres and ask difficult questions. Was Ellen's role in Anne's life more significant than we realized? Did their breakup and the scrutiny that followed set Anne on a path of isolation, instability, and eventual tragedy? Ellen's image as the queen of kindness doesn't align with the aftermath of her relationship with Anne. While Anne openly discussed her struggles and the hardships she faced after their breakup, Ellen remained largely silent about that chapter of her life. For someone who built a career on openness, relatability, and kindness, her unwillingness to acknowledge Anne's struggles publicly feels dismissive, but also revealing. The conspiracy theories surrounding Anne's death, while unproven, speak to a larger truth. The cracks in Ellen's carefully crafted image were beginning to show. Her role in Anne's life, combined with her later controversies, has led many to question whether the be kind persona was ever real. Anne Heck's life and death remain shrouded in mystery. But one thing's clear. Her relationship with Ellen marked a turning point, not just for Anne, but for the way the world would come to see Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen's rough.
Ellen is like an old.
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show. That's a rough one.
In 2018, the carefully crafted image of Ellen DeGeneres as the Queen of Kindness began to show its first signs of wear. A New York Times profile titled "Ellen DeGeneres is not as nice as you think" hinted at a persona that diverged from her on-screen charm. This article marked the beginning of a shift in public perception, as it dared to question the authenticity of Ellen's famously affable demeanor. The profile touched on rumors that Ellen's real-life behavior didn't align with her nice on-camera persona. When confronted with these allegations, Ellen's response was defensive. "That bugs me if someone's saying that because it's an outright lie," she stated emphatically. She went on to assert that from day one, she had established a rule that everyone working on her show would be happy and proud of their workplace, or they shouldn't work there at all. However, this staunch defense of her character and workplace environment would soon be put to the test. One of the most notable incidents came in the form of a revelation from Nikki Tutorials, a popular transgender beauty YouTuber. After appearing on the Ellen DeGeneres show in January of 2020, Nikki shared her less than stellar experience with the talk show host. On a Dutch talk show, Nikki didn't hold back her words when comparing her experience on Ellen's show to the Dutch program, saying, quote, "Let me say there's a big difference between this show and Ellen DeGeneres, and I'm saying that in favor of this show," unquote. She went on to explain that unlike the Dutch show, where the host greeted her before filming, Ellen didn't meet her until walking onto the set. When pressed further about her interaction with Ellen, DeJeger described the host as cold and distant. This characterization stood in stark contrast to the warm, dancing Ellen that millions of viewers had come to know and love through their television screens. In a later interview with Dutch magazine NC, she provided more details about her time on the show. According to Nikki, upon arrival at the studio, she was greeted not with the warmth and excitement one might expect, but by an angry, overworked intern. Quote, "Call me naive, but I kind of expected to be welcomed with confetti cannons. Welcome to the Ellen DeGeneres show. But instead, I was greeted by an angry intern who was a bit overworked," unquote, she revealed. The YouTuber's disappointment didn't end there. She noted that she wasn't given the same VIP treatment as other guests on the show. On one occasion, she shared that she wasn't allowed to use the bathroom closest to her because it was reserved for the Jonas Brothers. She summed up her experience with a poignant comparison. Quote, "I was expecting a Disney show, but I got Teletubbies after dark," unquote. This vivid description encapsulated the stark difference between the show's public image and the reality behind the scenes. While Nikki's account was certainly damaging, it might have been dismissed as an isolated incident if not for what happened next. In March 2020, a Twitter thread that would prove to be a tipping point in Ellen's public image crisis went viral. Comedian Kevin T. Porter initiated the thread, describing Ellen as, quote, "notoriously one of the meanest people alive," unquote. Porter's tweet invited people to share their own stories about Ellen's alleged meanness, promising to match each story with a $2 donation to the Los Angeles Food Bank. What followed was an avalanche of responses, with nearly 2,000 people contributing their own accounts of negative interactions with the talk show host. These stories ranged from allegations of Ellen berating staff members to claims of her engaging in diva-like behavior. While the veracity of each individual story couldn't be confirmed, the sheer volume of responses painted a troubling picture. It suggested that the rumors of Ellen's less-than-kind behavior weren't isolated incidents, but potentially part of a larger pattern. One user commented, quote, "When I was 15, the Ellen show was doing a contest of fans making a bust of her and sending it to her. I worked so hard on this and even wrote her a letter. Weeks later, she used it as a prop in a game and gave it away to a random person with $500 attached to the bottom," unquote. As these cracks in Ellen's image continued to widen, they set the stage for even more serious allegations that would soon follow. The once beloved talk show host was about to face a storm of controversy that would shake the very foundations of her empire. This dissonance between public image and private behavior raised questions about the nature of celebrity culture and the personas that public figures construct. It forced many to confront the uncomfortable reality that the personalities we invite into our homes through our television screens may not always be who they appear to be. The Queen of Kindness was about to face her greatest challenge yet, as the carefully constructed world of the Ellen DeGeneres show teetered on the brink of downfall.
It was October 4th.
October 4th. And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. Last time I was on the show, last year, you gave me a bunch of about not inviting you, but I didn't even know you wanted to be invited.
In July 2020, the carefully constructed image of the Ellen DeGeneres show came crashing down. A bombshell report from BuzzFeed News exposed a toxic work environment that had been festering behind the scenes of the popular daytime talk show for years.
The horror stories keep coming. One guest on the show telling Inside Edition that she was told, whatever you do, don't be funnier than Ellen.
This expose would set off a chain of events that would ultimately lead to the downfall of one of television's most beloved figures. The BuzzFeed report was published on July 16, 2020. It was the result of interviews with one current and 10 former employees of the Ellen DeGeneres show. These individuals painted a picture of a workplace that was far from the joyful, dance-filled environment viewers saw on their screens. Instead, they described an atmosphere dominated by racism, fear, and intimidation. The allegations were wide-ranging and deeply troubling. Employees reported experiencing racist comments and actions, as well as what they termed microaggressions. One former black employee recounted being called into a meeting with executive producer Ed Glavin after she had raised concerns about the use of the term spirit animal and suggested that the show's staff receive diversity and inclusion training. Instead of addressing her concerns, she was reprimanded for her objections and told that she was walking around looking resentful and angry. This led her co-workers to distance themselves from her, making her regret saying anything. This incident was far from isolated. Other employees reported being fired after taking medical leave or bereavement days to attend family funerals. The fear of retaliation was so pervasive that most of the former employees interviewed by BuzzFeed requested anonymity, fearing that speaking out could have negative consequences for their careers in the entertainment industry. While Ellen's "Be Kind" mantra was plastered across merchandise and repeated on air, employees described a culture of fear and favoritism. Some staff members even claimed they were instructed not to speak to DeGeneres if they saw her around the office. As shocking as these revelations were, they were just the tip of the iceberg. On July 30th, 2020, BuzzFeed News published a second report that further shook the foundations of the Ellen empire. This article detailed allegations of sexual misconduct against several top producers on the show. Dozens of men and women who worked behind the scenes at the Ellen DeGeneres show came forward with stories of sexual harassment and misconduct by top executive producers. The allegations primarily centered around head writer and executive producer Kevin Lehman, executive producer Ed Glavin, and co-executive producer Jonathan Norman. Lehman was accused of numerous acts of sexual misconduct, including groping and propositioning employees. One ex-employee alleged that Lehman asked for oral sex at a company party in 2013, while another claimed to have seen Lehman grope and kiss male employees, as well as grab a production assistant's penis. Gavin, who'd already been implicated in the earlier report about the toxic work environment, was accused of creepy touching and leading with intimidation and fear. 5 former employees stated that Glavin would touch them in a way that made him feel uncomfortable by placing his hand around their lower waist. Norman was accused of grooming a former employee by taking him to concerts and other work-related perks, before one night attempting to perform oral sex on him. 3 of the employee's former colleagues corroborated that he'd told him about the incident at the time. These allegations of sexual misconduct added a new, even more disturbing dimension to the controversy surrounding the show. It was no longer just about a toxic work environment, but about serious abuses of power and criminal behavior. The response from the accused was swift, but did little to calm the growing storm. Lehman adamantly denied any kind of sexual impropriety in a statement to BuzzFeed News. Norman also denied all allegations against him, but Glavin did not respond to any requests for comments. As the allegations mounted and public outrage grew, all eyes turned to Ellen DeGeneres herself. How would the Queen of Kindness respond to these damning reports about her show? Initially, DeGeneres remained silent, allowing the distributor of the show, the Warner Brothers, to take the lead. The company announced that it was launching an internal investigation into the allegations. However, as the controversy continued to escalate, it became clear that DeGeneres would need to address the situation herself. On July 30, 2020, the same day that the second BuzzFeed report was published, DeGeneres finally broke her silence. In a letter to her staff, which was obtained by various media outlets, DeGeneres attempted to address the allegations and take responsibility for the issues on her show. On day one of our show, I told everyone in our first meeting that the Ellen DeGeneres show would be a place of happiness. No one would ever raise their voice, and everyone would be treated with respect, DeGeneres wrote. Obviously, something changed, and I'm disappointed to learn that this has not been the case. DeGeneres went on to say that she'd relied on others to manage the day-to-day operations of the show as it grew, and that clearly some didn't. She promised that things would now change and that she was committed to ensuring that the issues would not happen again. However, critics were quick to point out that DeGeneres' response seemed to deflect responsibility onto others rather than fully owning up to her role in allowing a toxic culture to develop. Her claim that she was unaware of the issues on her own show struck many as implausible, given the severity and pervasiveness of the alleged misconduct. DeGeneres' initial response did little to stem the tide of criticism. As more stories continued to emerge, the disconnect between her public persona and the reality behind the scenes became increasingly apparent. The fallout from the controversy was swift and severe. Advertisers began to distance themselves from the show, and ratings began to decline. Celebrity guests, once eager to appear on the show, became increasingly scarce. The damage to DeGeneres' brand was immense. As the controversy continued to unfold, Warner Brothers took more decisive action.
How was everybody's summer? Good? Yeah? Mine was great. Super terrific.
On August 17, 2020, it was announced that the three top producers, Ed Glavin, Kevin Lehman, and Jonathan Norman, had been fired from the show. This move was seen as a necessary step in addressing the allegations and attempting to salvage the show's reputation. DeGeneres announced the overhaul in a video meeting with staff, reiterating her apology and stating that an internal investigation was underway. "I'm so sorry for what this has become," she reportedly told her staff, according to The Hollywood Reporter. However, the firing of the producers did not put an end to the controversy. Questions remained about how much DeGeneres knew about the toxic culture on her show and why she'd not done more to address it earlier. As the 18th season of the Ellen DeGeneres show approached, all eyes were on Ellen to see how she would address the controversy on air. When the show returned in September 2020, DeGeneres used her opening monologue to speak directly to viewers about the allegation.
If you're watching because you love me, thank you. If you're watching because you don't love me, welcome. As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show. We have made the necessary changes, and today we are starting a new chapter. Known as the Be Kind Lady is a tricky position to be in. The truth is, I am that person that you see on TV. I am also a lot of other things. Sometimes I get sad, I get mad, I get anxious, I get frustrated, I get impatient, and I am working on all of that. I am a work in progress.
Despite these efforts, the controversy continued to cast a long shadow over the show. Ratings declined, and in May 2021, DeGeneres announced that the upcoming 19th season would be the show's last.
So that means as of today, we've done 3,000 shows plus 14. And today I have an announcement to make. Today, I am announcing that next season, season 19, is going to be my last season. This show has been the greatest experience of my life. And I owe it all to you.
In subsequent interviews, DeGeneres has attempted to reframe the narrative around the show's end. In a recent stand-up performance, she joked that she got kicked out of show business and was the most hated person in America after the allegations surfaced. She's also suggested that the claims were orchestrated and part of an attack on her, going as far as using the tweet mentioned earlier as the main part of her intro to her special in an attempt to show it was fabricated. These attempts at deflection and humor have been met with mixed reactions. While some fans have stood by DeGeneres, many critics see her responses as further evidence of a failure to fully reckon with the issues that plagued her show. As DeGeneres attempts to rebuild her career through stand-up comedy and other ventures, the legacy of this controversy continues to linger. The facade of kindness that she had so carefully constructed over decades crumbled in a matter of months, leaving behind questions about authenticity, responsibility, and the true nature of kindness in the cutthroat world of show business. Ellen not only had one of the most famous talk shows, she had many high-up connections in Hollywood. One of her most prominent connections was with Sean Combs, better known as P. Diddy. Ellen and Diddy have long been known for their unlikely but enduring friendship in the entertainment industry. Their bond, which spans nearly 2 decades, has been a subject of fascination for many, given their vastly different backgrounds and public personas. However, recent allegations against Diddy have cast a shadow over this relationship, raising questions about Ellen's knowledge of the accusation, or even worse, her potential involvement. Ellen and Diddy's friendship dates back to the early days of the Ellen DeGeneres show. Their friendship extended beyond the confines of the talk show studio. They were often seen together at industry events and parties, and Ellen frequently referenced Diddy's infamous gatherings on her show. These references, which seemed innocuous at the time, have taken a darker tone in light of recent allegations against Diddy. One particularly notable interaction occurred in 2016 when Ellen celebrated Diddy's birthday on social media. In a post on X, Ellen referred to Diddy, saying, "Happy birthday, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, or as I call him, Cuddle McSnugglestuff. You don't need to know why." At the time, this was seen as a playful inside joke between friends. However, in the context of recent events, this interaction's been scrutinized and reinterpreted by many as something far more sinister. One of the most shocking aspects of the Diddy case involves what prosecutors describe as freak-offs. These were allegedly drug-fueled orgies where Diddy would distribute controlled substances to victims to keep the victims obedient and compliant. After these events, Diddy and the victims would reportedly receive IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. Prosecutors even claimed that Diddy regularly hosted sex trafficking parties with underage women and illegal drugs. The lawsuit implies that record label executives who looked the other way financially benefited from access to celebrities and other high-up figures. These allegations have sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, leading to increased scrutiny of those who have been closely associated with Diddy over the years, including Ellen DeGeneres. As the allegations against Diddy have come to light, there's been growing speculation about what Ellen DeGeneres may have known about her friend's alleged activities. This speculation's fueled by several factors. First off, the frequency of the interactions. Diddy appeared on Ellen's show 17 times over the years. This frequent interaction suggests a level of closeness that has led some to question whether Ellen could have been entirely unaware of Diddy's behavior. Secondly, there's the references to Diddy's freak-offs. These parties have been an open secret in Hollywood, but in light of recent allegations, we now know that these parties were possibly a drug-fueled cover-up for sex trafficking and manipulation. But Ellen's mention of the parties isn't even the weirdest part. It's the cryptic social media posts that she would tag Diddy in. The 2016 birthday post, where Ellen referred to Diddy as Cuddle McSnugglestuff, has been re-examined in light of recent events. The cryptic nature of the post and the suggestion of an inside joke have led some to speculate about the true nature of their relationship. And finally, Ellen's sudden move. Recent reports suggest that Ellen has packed up and moved to the UK. While the reasons for this move are not clear, the timing, coinciding with the allegations against Diddy, has fueled further speculation. While Ellen has not been accused of any wrongdoing, nor has she been named in any of the lawsuits or criminal charges against Diddy, the drama surrounding Ellen's past and the connection between her and Diddy are hard to ignore. The speculation surrounding Ellen's relationship with Diddy comes at a challenging time for the former talk show host. Ellen's career has already been impacted by allegations of a toxic workplace environment on her show, which led to the internal investigation by BuzzFeed. While Ellen has attempted to address these issues and rebuild her image, the controversy surrounding Diddy has the potential to further complicate her efforts. The public's perception of Ellen, once overwhelmingly positive, has become more complex and nuanced in recent years. The situation raises larger questions about celebrity friendships, accountability, and the responsibility of public figures. How much should we expect celebrities to know about their friends' private lives and behaviors? At one point, does association become complicity? Moreover, the case highlights the often stark contrast between public personas and private realities in the entertainment industry. Ellen and Diddy, both known for their charismatic public images, are now at the center of controversies that challenge those carefully crafted personas. As the legal proceedings against Diddy continue, it's likely that more information will come to light. This may include details about his relationships with various celebrities, potentially including Ellen. How Ellen chooses to address these issues, whether she speaks out about Diddy, maintains her silence, or takes some other action, will likely have a significant impact on her public image and career moving forward. Attempt at redemption. In July 2024, Ellen DeGeneres made a highly anticipated return to the stage with her Ellen's Last Stand-Up tour, marking her first significant public appearance since the end of her talk show. DeGeneres kicked off her tour with a series of performances that blended comedy with candid reflections on her recent experiences.
All right, well, let me catch up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. I decided to take up gardening. I got chickens. Let me see what else I can tell you about that's been going on. Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business.
Throughout her performances, DeGeneres tackled the allegations head-on, addressing the perception that she was mean, a label that contributed to the downfall of her talk show. She told her audience, "I am many things, but I am not mean." DeGeneres also used her stand-up to provide context for her behavior, explaining, "I can be demanding and impatient and tough. I'm a strong woman." The comedian didn't shy away from discussing the impact the controversy had on her personally. She shared with her audience, "I used to say, I don't care what people say about me. Now I realize I said that during the height of my popularity." But DeGeneres' tour wasn't just about addressing the past. It was also framed as a farewell to her stand-up career. She reportedly told her audiences that this tour, along with an upcoming Netflix special, would be her final performances. However, the tour wasn't without its challenges. Several shows, including dates in Dallas, San Francisco, Seattle, and Chicago, were canceled without explanation. This led to speculation about the reception of her comeback and the public's willingness to embrace her return. Some people suggest that the failure of her tour was due to the high ticket prices to enter the show, but some say that it's because she never truly apologized. While some critics appreciated her refusal to deliver a performative apology, many felt she did not adequately reckon with the serious allegations that led to her show's cancellation. Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, relocated to the picturesque Cotswolds region of England. Initially, reports suggested that the move was a direct response to Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 presidential election. Sources claim that DeGeneres and de Rossi were very disillusioned by the election results and decided to get the hell out almost immediately. This narrative aligned with DeGeneres' past comments about potentially leaving the country if Trump were to win again. However, as more details emerged, it became clear that the couple's decision to move was more complex than a simple reaction to political events. An insider revealed to the Daily Mail, "Make no mistake about it, this is DeGeneres and Portia's retirement. Neither of them have any projects lined up." After facing significant backlash and controversy in recent years, particularly regarding allegations of a toxic work environment and her Diddy connection, DeGeneres may have seen this as an opportunity for a fresh start. Adding to the intrigue, reports suggest that DeGeneres and de Rossi have been planning this move for some time. They had purchased their new home in England ahead of the U.S. election, indicating that the decision wasn't as spontaneous as initially portrayed. This pre-planning hints at a more calculated approach to their departure, possibly as part of a larger strategy to reshape DeGeneres' public persona. The couple's choice of location is also odd. The Cotswolds is known for its picturesque landscapes and quaint villages. offering a stark contrast to the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. This shift to a more low-key rural setting could be seen as an attempt to distance themselves from the controversies and pressures of show business. However, some observers have questioned whether there might be more to this move than meets the eye. The suddenness of their departure and the decision to sell their Montecito mansion have led to speculation about whether DeGeneres and DeRossi are running from something bigger than just public scrutiny. The couple's behavior since arriving in England has also fueled speculation. They've been spotted at local pubs, mingling with celebrities and enjoying live music. DeGeneres has even debuted a new look, sporting short, dark hair instead of her signature blonde style. These changes could be interpreted as efforts to blend in and establish a new identity. As DeGeneres and DeRossi settle into their new life in the Cotswolds, the public and media continue to speculate about their true motivations. Is this move a genuine attempt at retirement and a quieter life? A strategic retreat to rebuild DeGeneres' tarnished image? Or is there something much darker hidden beneath the surface? As she distances herself from the controversies of her past, only time will tell whether this move to Europe represents an escape or a true reinvention of the once beloved talk show host. As we conclude our deep dive into the tumultuous journey of Ellen DeGeneres, we find ourselves at a crossroads of reflection and revelation. The story of Ellen is not just one of fame and fortune. It's a complex narrative woven with threads of kindness, controversy, and the stark realities of celebrity culture. From her rise as a groundbreaking comedian to her reign as the beloved host of The Ellen DeGeneres Show, Ellen captivated audiences with her charm and humor. Yet, as we've explored, the very persona that endeared her to millions began to unravel under the weight of serious allegations and revelations about the toxic environment behind the scenes. Ellen's abrupt move to Europe adds another layer to this intricate story. Is it an escape from scandal, a quest for reinvention, or perhaps a strategic retreat from a landscape that's become increasingly hostile? Whatever her motivations, this chapter in her life serves as a reminder that even the most adored figures can face scrutiny and backlash when the facade begins to crack. In a world where kindness is often preached but not always practiced, Ellen's narrative challenges us to think critically about the messages we receive from our idols. It compels us to question whether we truly know the people behind the personas we celebrate. As her story unfolds, we will undoubtedly witness further developments that will shape her legacy and impact our understanding of what she truly knew.